Yeah, that's right. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Community Foundation's Voices of Impact March Community Lunch Hour. I'm Jenny Riggenbach, CEO here at the Community Foundation, and I am really excited about our guests today and what we're going to talk about. But before I introduce them, I did want to take a moment to thank our sponsors, Century Insurance, Delta Dental, UWSP, and Midstate Technical College. They have just been incredible partners to us to help us ensure we have the capacity to share all of the great work in our community that hopefully we're inspiring more folks to either start a fund, follow their passions, or give to something that you're learning already exists in our community. So we thank our sponsors. Today we are celebrating two very important things, very fun things with our guests. First of all, March, if you did not know, is Developmental Disability Awareness Month. And we're also in the final stages of the Community Foundation scholarship season. So today I am joined by Andrea Marty and Mindy McCord with the Connection Company. And they also have a scholarship with the Community Foundation called the Connection Company Educate and Advocate Scholarship Fund. So we're going to learn more about that. And we're going to also learn more about just their work in general and why this scholarship is so important to them. So why don't we go ahead and get started with some questions. And for those of you that are online and in the room with us, if at any point you want to get in the conversation, you can raise your hand in the online, or you can even just come on up. If you're in the audience, you want to come sit by me and get in the conversation, please do. It's sometimes the most fun part of the time we spend together. Great. So to get us started, Mindy and Andrea, let's talk about Connection Company. Tell us about Connection Company. What do you do? Who are you? I'll pass it on to you, Andrea.
Hi there, I'm Andrea. Allie couldn't join us today, but she is the co-founder of the Connection Co. So we are an organization here in Portage County, and we also serve the Wisconsin Rapids, Southern Wood County. We provide employment services. So we work with individuals with developmental disabilities and other disabilities, helping to gain employment and then helping people to keep that employment after they're hired.
Awesome. And yeah. Do you want to introduce yourself, Mindy?
Sure. I'm Mindy McCord, and I'm an employment specialist on the team.
Great.
Do you want to explain about our team?
Maybe talk about the team and tell us what makes you unique.
Oh, I get the hard question. Yeah. Okay, what makes us unique? Well, first, our team. So we are broke into two different sections. So we have job coaches, a team of job coaches, which are on site with our consumers, and then employment specialists, which are more like case managers for our consumers. We're connectors in the community. We are the bridge to the employers. We get to know the consumers and their interests and try to fit them with the right job path.
I'm learning something already. Consumers is what, yes, is what how you refer to the people you work with, right? I love that. So help me practice that, because I'm always working hard to practice change in how the language that we use that becomes more meaningful to the people that we do work with. So that's really helpful. Thank you, Mindy. So as you work with your consumers, I'm hoping that you can share a little bit, both of you, like what sparked your passion for this kind of work in our community?
I can kind of speak for both Allie and myself. Allie has been doing this work for 15 years. So I think she just really developed this passion starting in college and out of college, just coming alongside people who have disabilities and helping them to figure out what they're passionate about is just really life-giving. I started my career as a special education teacher, and so I worked primarily with students with intellectual disabilities. And then 3.5 years ago, Allie and I had been friends for quite a while, and I just saw this big need from the school side of things services are just so different. And so there was just a big gap for a lot of students from working with services within the school system and then to the community. And so just kind of coming over to this other side. So that's kind of where my passion started.
I have a unique background that is not at all in the realm of disability, but I am a business owner. And I think from that lens, I have a lot of connections within our local community that I can leverage. And I also understand what it means to own a small business. We work with big business, small business, but primarily small businesses. And so to have that lens to bring to the table, I think has been very helpful. And I think my passion developed from that point.
Mindy, tell us a little bit more about your business. And I'm really curious, like, was there a moment in, launching a small business and that where it really made, like a story where it really made sense of, oh, right, the consumers the Connection Company works with actually benefit the business that I own and could benefit others?
So the business I own is Siren Shrub Company, along with my co-founder Lane Cozzolino. We are a beverage company in town. I would say, to answer that question, it's a great question. The Connection Company, what we do is think outside of the box. And I think as a small business owner, when you're pushed to think outside of the box, it's really important. Working with consumers, I would say, allow you to do that in a totally different way. And you have a whole team of people helping you think outside of the box. So I don't know that I had a moment within my company, but I can see a million different ways we could bring in community members in a way that I wouldn't have seen without the help of somebody like the Connection Company or the work that we do.
Yeah, go for it.
I was just going to say too, I feel like that's something that we're all, like our team, I feel like is really passionate about, is we serve our clients, our consumers, and that is always like our first priority. But we also very much see us as ourselves as like matchmakers. So when we're working with businesses within the community, we never want to say, oh, hey, here's this job. Okay, who can I put into that job? Because that might not be a good fit. And ultimately, if it's not the right job for the person we're supporting, then it's also not the right job for the business. So we feel like because of your background, I mean, Allie and I started this company, so we're, small business owners too. We feel like we have that perspective of thinking, okay, as the company, like it also has to make sense for you because then it will make sense for the client. So we feel like, yeah, we're all, our whole team is really passionate about that too.
So where might we see some of your consumers working in the community?
All over. Everywhere. Yeah, anywhere you go. I feel like it varies so widely because, like I said, a lot of our clients do have an intellectual or developmental disability, but a lot of them don't. And so I feel like it's just so vast. We also are really passionate about working with students. And so we like to talk as a team a lot about like stepping stone jobs or, figuring out, okay, so your dream might be to work, at Aspirus, but right now you're a junior in high school, so that might not be realistic now, but what jobs can we get while you're in high school to step up to those? So lots of entry level positions all the way up to higher positions throughout the community.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to.
No, I think you covered it.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. Let's talk a little bit just more about your consumers that I can just see just puts a smile on both of your faces. I think for many of us in the community, if like before I started working with a lot of funds that support individuals with developmental and intellectual disabilities here at the foundation, I wasn't as cognizant of just the what the community looks like in central Wisconsin, and I would love to hear from you on like how do you feel and what do you see in terms of this segment of our community just making central Wisconsin a special and unique place for all of us to live.
I think what we see a lot with so many of our clients is every single person that we work with has so many gifts and talents and brings so much value to the table. And I think it's I think I can speak for all of us, like our favorite piece about this job is when we are working with someone and we're able to find that job where they are also valued there and it just clicks. And I feel like for some people that happens quickly and other times it's a longer road. But just when we get to, I'm like, I see how amazing they are, but I want everybody else to see how amazing they are and the value that they bring. And so when that happens, that's like a huge thing. And I think overall, our community is really inclusive and supportive of people. It's just, I think, sometimes thinking outside the box and helping employers to see what their value is, or maybe thinking outside of the box in terms of what the position might entail. Can we tweak the role a little bit, and then this is your person, and they're going to be amazing. Did that answer the question?
I love it. Yeah.
Do you want to add to that?
I would just add to challenge everybody to let people surprise you. I think that we get stuck in our straight line thinking, and there's so much potential. And if we were all the same, how boring would that be? I think there's just so much to discover. And that is the funnest part of our job, is like showcasing these people's talents. Like, look at this fit. Yeah.
That reminds me of there was a day I was having a very full day, but I was very hungry. So I stopped at Wooden Chair. And I think one of your consumers was working there. And oh my gosh, just the smile she could just put on my face, her energy, her excitement. It was just fantastic, right? Like you're right. It's every one of us that works in any organization is going to help shape that culture. And I still think about that. And when I go to Wooden Chairs, and it's like I already am thinking about that excitement and energy because of her. So I love that. So before we start talking a little bit more about the scholarship and why you decided to do a scholarship, what do you wish more people understood about the experience of people with living with developmental or intellectual disabilities? I mean, you talk about let them surprise us, but it shouldn't all be for them to teach us, right? Like, what should we be really? What's the difference we can all make, and what are we not understanding?
I think recognizing that barriers go beyond disability. A lot of people have multiple barriers, dual barriers. It could be transportation. It could be a criminal background. It could be a lot of things. And if we had more open-mindedness to be accepting of that and to help our community overcome those barriers and to work together to overcome those barriers, that would be huge. If we could all come from that lens, like, how can we help, instead of why can't you get here on time?
Yeah, and I think we have a lot of ideas. One thing I think what we're seeing kind of just in the world in general is that all of us just move at such a fast pace. And I think that like immediate gratification just in all areas of life is really hard, especially for a lot of people we support. Processing time is a little bit slower, whether it's processing information or just like doing a task. And so I think as whether you're an employer or you're just a customer somewhere, I think having patience and just slowing down a little bit with our expectations goes a really long way. So many of the people we support are so detail oriented and do such an amazing job. And I think I was sharing with you one example. I was working with someone and I timed it. It would take him like a minute to a minute and a half longer to complete a customer service task than other coworkers. And customers would get so frustrated with him. And I was like, okay, you can't wait a minute and a half, but his customer service is much better than a lot of the other coworkers. But it's because it literally, that minute, like might feel like so much longer to other people. So I think as customers, just recognizing, having some patience. And then as business owners too, I think, again, we're seeing, because businesses are in a tight spot, we get that. But if you're expecting people to do multitask so many different things at such a fast speed, you're missing out on amazing employees that can't do 10 jobs, but they could do one or two probably better than anybody else, So just recognizing that, I guess.
I remember that story, and I love that story with that thought of, right, like being patient actually benefits me too, right? Because now I'm going to get a better product. At the end of the day, if I'm just going to be able to hold my patients for an extra minute to have it done really well. I love that. Well, let me just pause here and see if there's any questions anybody in our audience online or in the room might have about Connection Co. And Mindy and Andrea.
Don't all ask at once.
Mm-hmm.
Take turns.
That's okay. I just want to practice pausing and giving you all that chance to formulate your questions. There's no wrong time to jump in, to even go back in the conversation. We want this to be for everybody who's here. So thanks again for joining us. So let's talk about the scholarship. You came to the Community Foundation. Andrea, you and Allie came 3 years ago, I believe. 3 years, because this is the second year we're putting a scholarship out on your behalf. What inspired you to create the scholarship to support students who want to work in the field? And I guess explain what the scholarship is. I guess I did do a good job of that.
Well, so I guess just kind of sharing some of our thought process for both Allie and I, education is so important to us, and formal education for sure, but even just in a broader sense, continuing to be lifelong learners, learning and unlearning and growing is just a huge value for us. So we feel like our role in the Connection Co. is obviously to serve our community, and so we're constantly looking for what are ways. Sorry, do I need to hold it up higher? Okay. What are ways that we can give back? And so the scholarship just seems like a way that we could give back to other people who want to go into the field of working with people with disabilities. So our heart behind that was anyone who's looking to go to school to work with people with disabilities, whether it's in education, so like teaching, or in just other, community service roles. But the main heart would be, I want to go into whatever field it may be so that I can impact people with disabilities. We wanted to support that.
I love hearing that this thread of what you're describing, Andrea, around just the technical expertise that comes with, it's not, passion is really important. But there is something about having at least some members of your team who really understand more of the technical side of it. Even just listening to you talk with one of our audience members earlier, and it was just fun to hear you kind of bouncing very, like I think you were talking about knife skills about co-client, right? And it breaking those tasks down, it allows people to be able to have more opportunity in a business or in the community. Can you just talk a little bit more about that? Like, I recognize you've got wonderful people on your team, but like Mindy talked at the beginning, like this isn't her field, right? So she's had to learn along the way what the value add is to having more people, bringing their passion to them being educated.
Yeah, like I said, I think just training and education is really important to us. So the scholarship was one way, and Allie and I are also working with our team to develop other training for other people who do what we do, because we feel like there's not enough good training out there, because this is a really hard job and it's weird. Until you do it, you're like, nobody is in third grade saying, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be an employment specialist. Like that's not, you don't dress up for that for Halloween. So it's just, how do we serve? We're so passionate about serving boots on the ground, our community where we live, but how can we also have a broader impact? The more people that we can train and support, then they have an impact. And so that increases our impact. And like you said, I think so many people have really good intentions and have a passion for serving people with disabilities, but there is a lot of training and expertise that isn't always readily available. And so if more people who have that passion can access that training, then it will be better, and it'll, increase the impact.
So Mindy, what's it been like for you to work for a company that takes that training so seriously?
Very valuable. So it's a steep learning curve, especially not having a background in disability. I think for the first year, I was just trying to catch up and like figure it out. But I've got two really great leaders and an amazing team. And one of my favorite things we do every week is gather as a team and problem solve together. So we are not in it alone by any means. We're learning together. And I think even when you've been in the industry for a long time with the education, you're still constantly learning. And so to have people you're surrounded with that have a collaborative mindset, including employers, including consumers. It's just a really cool dynamic where everybody's working together for the best outcome.
Nice, thank you. I can just hear it, right? There, you can just hear in talking to you. I can remember the first time Marley and I met with Andrea and Allie, and just hearing the direction that they wanted a scholarship, making this investment as a company, a really, really young company, making this kind of financial investment out of the gate, really to make sure that the future workforce had scholarships. What's it been like to see your idea move from that vision you had to reality?
Yeah, it's been awesome so far. So we set it up and we did have a recipient last spring, and it was awesome. We got to take her out to lunch and just to hear her passion. She was going to school to be a special education teacher. And so to get to meet her and just hear her passion and to know we had just a small part in her journey was really inspiring. And I think that's the goal, is just inspiring others that can then inspire others and just increase that impact.
So for those that don't really know in our audience how the Community Foundation scholarships work, like you're not actually making the decisions, right? Do you want to talk about that a little bit and help people kind of get a sense as why you chose that path and why you chose the Community Foundation?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, Allie and I were just brainstorming, and we want to always contribute to our community. So we thought this would be a great way to do it because learning is so important to us. And I think for both of us, one of our biggest hesitations was, so then that's another like to-do list, another task item that we just genuinely don't have time for. And we're like, how do you sift through applications? And then we want to choose them all. We can't like, how do we do that? And so we came and met with the Community Foundation, and what is so amazing is that we were able to sit down over a series of meetings and really work with you to identify what is our heart behind the scholarship and why do we do this. And you had a series of questions that were super detailed and just really thought-provoking, that also helped us to kind of clearly identify what is our heart behind this. And so then every year people are able to apply for the scholarship via your website, which is awesome. And then there's a committee that meets to go through those applications, and the committee uses our answers to our questions to help choose somebody. And so for us, I think it is not a to-do list on our task list, or a to-do item on our task list. So that is huge for us, that we know we can have this impact, and our capacity of time, it just didn't fit that. But then you guys do that. So yeah.
Thanks for that. Yeah, our team does really an incredible job, and I love this story of just because a lot of people do come to us and they want to be part of the process, and then even those that do tend to like, well, maybe it's time, right? We step away, or and there is no wrong way to do a scholarship. If you want to invest that time, we have a product for you. If you also want to hand the reins over, we have a product for you there too. So I'm glad it's working for you. This is great. What would you say to others in the community who might be watching, or maybe in the future watching, and who might be thinking about starting either a scholarship or another charitable fund, about your experience?
I would say do it. It's been such an amazing partnership working with you and your whole team. I think it's for us, we felt like, even though, going to school is expensive, and so it's not going to cover somebody's education, but I feel like every little bit helps. And so I think for us, it was a way where it's sustainable for us to be able to do this, and a way for us to give back, that hopefully the impact is really big for the people that get the scholarship. I just think it is an easy way to give back. So I would encourage anybody to look into it.
And your scholarship right now, with the amount that is in the fund, gives an $1,000 scholarship a year, right? Okay. So really, I would say we also offer anyone who's watching or would like to contribute to this scholarship, you are more than welcome to do that too and help Andrea and Allie grow it to potentially do more or support more of someone's education. There'll be some links to that a little later. Any questions from the audience on anything? What is the name of the scholarship? The name of the scholarship is, I think we said it at the beginning,
Educate and advocate.
the Connection Company Educate plus Advocate Scholarship Fund. Great question. Other questions? All right. Yeah, what schools in the area, technical or what schools in the area focus on this career path?
I guess a broad answer would be all of them. I think that there's obviously, it depends on what specific career you would be looking into. So if you wanted to be a special education teacher, UWSP, or any four-year college, you could get your teaching degree. I think the heart behind it is anybody who, regardless of the specific career, like how are you wanting to reach people with disabilities within that career? So even if, let's say that you wanted to go for something in human resources, Midstate has a program for that. And if you have a passion for working with people with disabilities, as a human resources director, you will work with people. And so having that kind of passion would be good. Or let's say that you want to go for early childhood. Midstate has a great early childhood program. Obviously, there's a lot of kiddos who have a developmental disability or a disability. So I don't know if you want to. Okay.
It's such a great reminder that it's really integrated into so much of what we do, and it's
Yeah.
about marrying those things with a passion. Also, am I correct? Like occupational therapists and physical therapists often also play a role. Okay, great. Wonderful. Any other? I just want to keep coming back. Yep. Do you want to come on up? We got a chair for you.
Come join us.
Yeah, I wanted to just touch base a little bit on the training aspect. One, I applaud you guys for offering that scholarship. And I think
tell
that,
us who you are?
yeah, my name is Don Wigington. I am the executive director for Midstate Independent Living Choices, but I am also a parent of a young man with intellectual developmental disabilities that has worked with the Connection Company. So I can't speak enough nice things about what they've done. And the passion I can always hear through the emails that Andrea sends me every week or so. But getting back to the training, because we employ at least 51% people with disabilities to work at Milk and on our board as well. And so when we are recruiting new IL consultants, is what we call them, it is very difficult to kind of pinpoint. They don't actually have to have a college degree, but we do have a few that come in through, like OT is one I'm thinking of. The sad thing is that they get paid a lot less working for somebody like us than they would if they were to take that OT and go out and work for Aspirus or something like that. And so one of the things I'm always kind of thinking about is through not only the training, because there is no specific training, like you said, for I want to work with people with special needs. You kind of go through a lot of back doors. And as we live in a world now where AI is more of a thing and talking about the job loss and things like that, at least in the near short term, human services are going to be one of those things that are still going to be around. And I think that we need to kind of focus, and I don't know what we can do as a community, but teachers around this country should really be thinking about, maybe, there's been a lot more talk of getting kids trained to work in factories. Well, I don't think that's a good idea, but, let's get them trained to work with people. But what does that training really entail, and how do you, think through that? But again, there's just some broader big picture things that I'm always kind of thinking about But I do love the idea that you guys are offering the scholarship. It's making me think that maybe we should do something like that as well. But yeah, kudos to you guys.
Thank you. Do you guys want to respond to that at all? Do you have anything you want to add?
Well, we love milk and Don. But yeah, I think it's just, I think it kind of like you said, I feel like it's how do we as a community figure out what can we tangibly do here? And then what is that bigger picture to help just increase the impact of how do we support people with disabilities because they bring so much value and it's a huge part of our community.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Questions or comments, experiences? Chloe?
Kind of.
Yeah, you want to expand a little bit more on last year's awardee?
Yeah. So we, like I said, you guys do a lot of it. And so our involvement is kind of minimal. But I got to meet our recipient and I took her out for lunch and just, in the, hour or two together, just got to hear kind of her passion and her journey and coming to UWSP and the different community, sports and different things that she's involved in. And then how she lives out just having a passion for working and just being in community with people with disabilities was really inspiring to me. And so I think also just pouring into this other generation of people that are coming up next to be able to say, hey, they want to have an impact in their community, whether she stays here or goes somewhere else. I think that's just really cool to, inspire somebody else who's going to inspire somebody else.
And she's at teaching?
She was going to go into teaching. Yep.
Great. Thanks, Chloe. All right. Well, that was such a great question that just reminded me. I did also want to take this opportunity to thank all of our scholarship committee members. We have a lot of community members who play a role in making these decisions. And every year I am just so inspired by the joy that they bring to it and just the commitment they bring to it. They really just honor those categories, the ways that you want people to think about awarding the scholarship. It really is an incredible group. If it's something you're interested in potentially serving on, don't hesitate to reach out. Also, I want to just share this too. Our annual report just came out. If you're on our mailing list, you're likely getting one in the mail this week. But this is Chloe Cruiser, our community storyteller's very first annual report, and she just did an amazing job. It is full of just stories from all of our different funds and our impact numbers and some beautiful photos. So kudos to Chloe, and I hope you enjoy this. So, before we wrap up, and really, if there's more questions, we have time, Chloe. Okay. Sounds good.
I'll read it here. Actually, it's not up on there. Okay. Okay. Would an organization who puts focus on educating the community on harm reduction and stigma reduction for substance abuse and mental health challenges qualify for this funding opportunity?
So Chloe, if I'm understanding that the question is, would an organization? Yeah. So not an organization. This scholarships are for individuals. So individuals who are pursuing their education apply for the scholarship. And then we have a committee of, like I mentioned, a committee of volunteers who read through all of the applications and help make the determination of who will be awarded this scholarship. Overall, we award close to $300,000 in scholarships a year. So this is one of many, and some of them are more than 1,000, but it's not 300. But we do a lot of scholarships. I hope that answers your question. There are always potentially other grant opportunities. If you contact the Community Foundation, we can make sure you get in touch with Sarah Ross, who leads our community grants program, to learn more about that. Other questions? Yes. Come on up. Yeah. Hi. Tell us who you are.
My name is Libby Heidman. I work for Advanced Wisconsin Employment, which is the Workforce Services Board in our area. And my question is about employers, and how much educating for employers do you have to do? And even with Midwest Living, even regards to like federal laws and other things that they may not be that familiar with.
Sure. I think it's so customized per individual and per employer that sometimes it's a heavier lift in that education realm than others. It just really is dependent on who we're working with and what the need is. And sometimes we're discovering the needs on site, right? And so again, it's that collaboration and that working together, and it's more of being in the proper mindset that we are a team and we're going to problem solve together. If a problem arises, we're here to help, and you're not on your own as an employer.
Yeah. Yep, I agree with that. I think it's so individualized for each person and each employer. I guess would add, we're really passionate about education, also just like sharing resources and knowledge with employers in the community to say, hey, like we would love for you to reach out and ask us questions or to work with us, so that we can, help just increase that education, because it is hard. I think, like you said, having an open mindset and knowing that people will surprise you, or maybe being open to shifting how you do something in even a really small way could make that role or that environment really accessible for the perfect employee. Does that kind of answer?
Yeah, I was just
Okay.
curious if that comes up a lot.
Yeah.
I have one more thing to add. I do feel like the fear, like from employers, we do see that a lot of fear of like, am I going to have to change everything? Am I going to break a rule? And like, that is not the case. Like, we will work with you to figure that out. But we hope that the fear doesn't stop people. But we do see that from time to time. Yeah.
Well, and just with that fear too, I guess even just Don and I were talking about somebody that I support just needs the accommodation of one of the tasks is cutting up certain vegetables. And so using a traditional knife is not necessarily as safe or a little trickier for him. And I think sometimes employers are so nervous about what types of accommodations might be needed. Statistically, I think 90% of accommodations are extremely low cost. And so it's just, color coding something. And honestly, a lot of times, whatever the accommodation is ends up being better for the whole team anyways. We were working with a large employer that used box cutters, like a traditional box cutter that they're not necessarily that safe and they break. And so we were able to help them find a box cutter that is a lot safer and they don't break as easy. And they were like, well, we're going to switch everybody over to this. So, and they cost like, I don't know, $1 or $2 a piece. So it's just, sometimes it's little things like that and it's not always that simple, but a lot of times it is. So just kind of dispelling that fear that, hey, we'll help figure that out. And usually it is a really low cost too. So. Yeah, that was a great question.
Yeah, really good question. All right. Anyone else with a question? Okay, well, we are celebrating Developmental Disability Awareness Month. And as we head into this second year of awarding scholarships, what gives you the most hope for the future of our community and the professionals that support Central Wisconsin?
Sure.
I think we see every day employers giving our consumers a chance. Just the collaboration. I know I'm like saying that word a lot, but it's just so inspiring how many people sign up to say, yes, I'm on board. Let's do this. I want to help. I want to be a part of this. I can see how it's going to make my business better. I'd say that's what inspires me.
Yeah. And I would say, the name of our company is the Connection Co. I think the big reason for this is because we love being connected to others and connecting others. And so I think what inspires us a lot too is just, we're not doing this by ourselves. There are people in this room that also do this work or similar work, and we can't do it alone. And so I think especially in our community, we just feel so much support and inclusion. And I think that is what keeps us going.
Well, you both inspire me, and truly, all our best to Allie. I hope she's feeling better. And Mindy, it was great to see you and Andrea. Truly, the work that Connection Co is doing, and just your investment in the future is just so incredible. We're so grateful for you. And And again, I want to, so on your screen, if you are interested in making a gift to support the scholarship, you can follow the path there. And the other one on next month? Okay, great, good. I'm trying to read from a distance here. And next month, for the month of April, we're going to be joined by the Boys and Girls Club leadership. And they're going to be here to talk about their endowment, what having an endowment is, what it means to the Boys and Girls Club. There'll be some discussion if you're a potential donor on, what are the reasons why a donor might give to an endowment versus directly to an organization. So we're very, very excited about that. And we hope that you'll join us. You'll join us in April. So thanks for coming and have a great day.